Geico presents Motorcycle Word of the Day. Today's word is gremlin. Is a gremlin an unknown and persistent mechanical issue? Or is it something large that gets caught in your teeth when you ride with your mouth open? As in,
man, I gotta stop singing 80s power ballads when I ride. Ugh, keep getting gremlins in my teeth. See?
Geico Motorcycle. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
For the ones standing guard, for the eagle-eyed, for the knights in shining armor, and for all those who support them. We are Grainger, your experienced safety partner, offering supplies and solutions for every industry, committed to helping keep your facilities safe and your people safer. Call, clickgrainger.com/safety, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
The following is a Hoop Ball presentation.
Hello and welcome everyone to another edition of DFS Today presented by Hoop Ball. I am your host David Menkoff, coming back from a 1-week hiatus, joined by my main man Will the Thrill Harris. I decided to throw in a nickname. Hope you're okay with that.
I love it. I'm glad you're back, David. You know, it's been too long. So I'm excited about this show with you tonight.
Absolutely. We have a nice little 2-game slate to go over. We have some very important game 6s on the docket, featuring two series still going head to head, and we have some fun little game totals and spreads to discuss. So let's, without further ado, let's dive into the first game on the slate. And that is the Philadelphia 76ers traveling to take on the Atlanta Hawks. It's a 7:30 p.m. Eastern start time. The total is 222.5, with the 76ers favored by 2 points. As far as injuries concerned, on the Atlanta side, Brandon Goodwin continues to be out. DeAndre Hunter is out. Cam Reddish is out. And Trae Young is listed as probable. On the Philadelphia 76ers side, you have Joel Embiid, who's listed as questionable for every game in the series, and Danny Green is out. So, Will, I know this is my Sixers team, but I'm going to let you take the ball here. I'm curious to hear, who do you like on the Sixers after 2 straight blown leads, and tell me why.
Right. You know I was going to let you go ahead and start it off, but since you let me do the honors, you got to first start looking at the man, the myth, the legend, Joel Embiid at 11,000. Had a tough game that last game in the second half, but he still was amazing in DraftKings. You know, he had 73 DraftKings points. So that's what you're looking for, and I think he should be he has to. He doesn't want to go home, so he has to show up, and he's going to play amazing and possibly even better than he did last game. Ben Simmons and Tobias Harris, they're always in the same price range, 7,700, 7,900. You would have to just choose one of the two. It's pretty much a crapshoot to me. I'll leave that up to you, David, to tell the people which one you would rather have since it's your team. But I really like Seth Curry at 5,400. Last game he had almost 52 DraftKings points, and even before that, he's just been very consistent at the price point he's at. And for him to explode for a big game, that makes him a great value. They need him. He's their 4th best player right now. So that's a great play for him. He's probably my favorite mid-tier player. And then I think you can also look down on the line at Furkan Korkmaz, because with Danny Green out, he's getting some minutes, and he's gotten double digits in the 2 out of the last 3 games. So he's just there as a body to put up some 3-pointers. But is there anyone else on Philly you're looking at, and who would you choose between Ben Simmons and Tobias Harris, if either?
Oh, absolutely. You're throwing out the tough questions right off the bat tonight, it looks like.
That's right.
Honestly, I don't think I need to lead with the Philadelphia 76ers. You pretty much cover every player that I like already. So I'm looking at all the same guys. As far as your question around Tobias Harris or Ben Simmons, here's my PSA for Ben Simmons. the pressure is squarely on his shoulders right now. Everyone knows Ben Simmons has dropped the ball game in and game out. Outside of the previous game where it wasn't his fault where they collapsed, he actually put up almost a triple-double with 45 fantasy points. Now, his price tag is $7,900 now. He got a little price increase despite a poor performance by every stretch of the imagination in the last game. I think he has to just mentally figure out the free throws, and I'm calling it in this pivotal Game 6. He figures out something. I expect him to shoot over 60% from the free throw line, which already would be a huge improvement to his series average, which is somewhere in the 35% range from the free throw line, which is just atrocious for any point guard, and especially for a caliber of Ben Simmons, who is coming off some pretty nice awards as far as all defensive teams. He has to bring some offense for them to even out the series. So I'm going to probably lean a little bit Ben Simmons over Tobias Harris, even though Tobias Harris is 7,700 and he's been the more consistent of the two players. His last game leaves a lot to be desired. I think he snaps out of it. He's not going to shoot 2 of 11 ever. I think it was a fluke by every stretch of the imagination. So I'm probably going to lean a little bit towards Ben Simmons. I have a little bit of Ben Simmons bias, but also I think that he really has to step up. Joel Embiid, I think, is going to put the pressure on him, and as well as Doc Rivers and the team to kind of bring out one of his signature performances, signature triple doubles, and keep the Sixers going to a Game 7. That's my take. That's my thoughts on those two. Joel Embiid, you touched on it. That's a rock solid play, probably the best play of the night at 11,000. Well worth the price tag. He does it all for them. The Hawks don't have any defense for Joel Embiid. As long as he's playing, he's putting up some effort, and the game stays close, and the Sixers can somehow maintain a lead, which is obviously something that has not happened so far this series. But I still like Joel Embiid. He's coming off a 72-point fantasy effort. Going to be a fantastic play, as always. And you touched on Seth Curry. Seth Curry, his confidence is coming through tremendously in this series, coming off a fantastic Steph Curry-light performance, dare I say, where he had 51 fantasy points. And the price tag, to your point, is only $5,400. It's priced to move at that mid-range value. So I love Steph Curry. Probably as far as who I love the most, it's still going to be tiered with Joel Embiid, number one, followed by I'll probably go Seth Curry just because of the price tag, and then I'll go Ben Simmons, and then finishing it off with Tobias Harris. You touched on Furkan Korkmaz. I love Furkan. I think he's been a great addition off the bench for the Sixers all season, and the past couple of seasons especially. That was a great find by the scouting team to get Furkan on the team. I don't see him being too much of a fantasy player, despite the Danny Green injury. I don't have too much faith in him, but there are worse darts to throw at 3,900. So definitely worth a shot and worth a look. Any other thoughts on the Sixers before we dive into the Atlanta side?
If we go to page 11 in the presentation, you'll see that we're on target to meet our quarterly.
Some things never change, like nobody can resist popping plastic bubbles, and Geico saving folks lots of money on their car insurance.
As I was saying, we're on target to meet. Excuse me, Miss Hansen.
Sorry, almost done.
15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
This Father's Day, let Dad loose at Lowe's. He's never seen a to-do list he couldn't tackle, and we have all the power tools and outdoor power equipment he needs. Choose from more than 50 Cobalt 24-volt Max tools, including the Cobalt 24-volt Max brushless drill kit. Was $159, and now you can gift it for just $89. Plus, Dad can shop Lowe's in-store, online, or through our app. Lowe's, the perfect gift for Dad. Offer valid through 6/23 while supplies last, U.S. only.
No, I think we covered it all. I wish they would play the young fella. What's your rookie's name? I can't even find his name right now.
Oh, we're talking about
Maxey.
Tyrese Maxey.
Yeah. I wish he would get some burn because, I think he could do some of the things that Terrence Mann is doing for the Clippers, but they don't trust him, I guess.
I'm with you 100%. Unfortunately, I think with Tyrese Maxey, he was great all season, especially with a bunch of guys injured, and he's shown flashes. I just think that they don't trust him in these big moments, just like they don't trust Shake Milton.
Yeah, same for
Despite,
him.
right, Shake Milton had a fantastic performance in game 2, and since then he's been quiet. Sorry, game 3. And since then he's been quiet, and now we're wondering if Shake Milton can be the guy. The Sixers need someone to step off the bench. It could be Shake Milton or Tyrese Maxey, to your point, and they're both priced at the near minimum, 3,000 and 3,100 respectively. So not a bad look if you want to go some cheap dart throws as well.
Yeah, because Philly's going to need to, throw something different out there because they need this game.
Absolutely. Awesome. And then jumping over to the Hawks side of the ball, I'll jump in. I'll start it off. Number 1 pick, number 1 play from the guard position, Trae Young. Can't overthink this one. Despite the defense of Ben Simmons, it's been pretty decent, I would say, considering Trae Young's talent level. He's still putting up monster numbers. In his last game, he put up 57 fantasy points. In the game before, 61 fantasy points. I expect another 55 point effort minimum, especially in the home crowd in Atlanta. He's going to be motivated to close this out. I like him quite a bit. The next guy I'm looking at is actually going to be Kevin Huerter at 4,300 as a value play. He is coming off 0 for 7 against the Sixers off the bench, but I think he gets back on track at home. I see 25 fantasy points at a minimum here. And at that price tag, he's going to be someone that is going to be overlooked. So he's going to be definitely a GBP type of play. But that's even more reason why I'll probably be looking that way. Bogdanovic, 6,400 is not going to be too much in play for me. I just don't think he's as too much of a part of the offense these days. I much prefer a Danilo Gallinari at a much cheaper price tag in the power forward spot at 4,500. A little bit more consistent in the series coming off the bench. And with a price savings of $1,900, it's worth saving those dollars and looking elsewhere to build your lineup. So I'm going that direction. The only other guy I'm looking at on the Hawks side is probably going to be Clint Capella. He's been very off this series. He hasn't done much. We haven't seen the Clint Capella of old, but definitely more of a tournament play more than anything. I'm not going to pick him over any of the other centers tonight. But if you're looking for a mid-tier center play, there are worse plays. There actually are no worse plays than Clint Capella, but there are no better plays. There are no better plays than Clint Capella either. So it's something to keep in mind as you're building those lineups. But that's pretty much it. I'm not going to go John Collins, and that pretty much solidifies the Atlanta Hawks for me. What about for you, Will? Are you going to go Trae Young over Joel Embiid, or are you going to try and stack them together?
That's a tough decision. We have to play around with some lineups. It's hard to pass on Joel Embiid. And this is also someone in that second game that I'm looking at that I might have more competition with Embiid, but we'll get to them in a minute. You covered it greatly. I mean, I loved your point on Kevin Huerter. Had that terrible game. People are going to be hiding away from that. And I expect him to bounce back, like you said. There was talk that Cam Reddish was possibly going to play this game. But since he's not, that's even more helpful for Huerter to get more opportunities out there. So that was a great call. Trae, obviously, he's just been playing like a superstar in these playoffs, and I love it. I love the way he's broken out and just, showing the world who he is, who we all thought he would. Well, most of us thought he could be. So I'm really happy about that. But we do finally have a point we disagree on because we are always on the same page. But I'm loving John Collins at 6,300. I think he's been playing really good for himself. Last game he had 19 and 11. 2 games before that, 23 and 7. Like, he's been playing better now than he was in the regular season, to where he's becoming the second best option on offense for the team. Because Capella's not doing it, and Bogdan is slightly dropping down too. So I like John Collins at 6,300, and I would have him in my lineup. Now, take that, David.
You know what? I fully respect your decision, and there's nothing wrong with John Collins. I don't know. it's hard for me to trust him for whatever reason. I don't think I have any rhyme or reason to why I don't like John Collins, but I'm
The
just not
regular
going to go there.
season. It's probably because the regular season it was so disappointing.
100%. That's exactly. I have regular season bias on my
Yeah.
mind, and that you can't bring that into the playoffs. And that's number one DFS lesson for everyone listening tonight.
And it's weird though,
So
because Capella was so great in the regular season. So
right. So clearly they've kind of flipped roles here in the playoffs. So it's something to keep in mind here.
yeah.
Absolutely. So before we dive into the next game, I wanted to do a quick little shout out to mybookie.ag. Ever since I started the podcast, people have been asking me for betting tips. I always get asked, who do you have, Lakers or Clippers, Rodgers or Mahomes? And I'll tell you what I tell them. Where you bet is just as important as who you're betting on. And that's why I tell people to bet with MyBookie. MyBookie's rep is rock solid, and they've got the best odds, contests, and promotions in the business. They're the only place I trust to handle my big-later bets. The only sportsbook guaranteed to give me the best lines for the U.S. Open this weekend. You know me, and you know that I don't give out my stamp of approval easily. To earn it, you've got to be the best at what you do. And MyBookie is the best sportsbook out there, period. It's simple. Sign up, enter promo code HOOPBALL, and get your deposit matched halfway up to $1,000. Head over to MyBookie if you want to add a little excitement to the sports you love and the games you bet. Bet with the best. Bet with MyBookie. All right, well, let's dive into the second and final game of the night, and we have the Utah Jazz traveling to take on Los Angeles Clippers. It's a 10 p.m. start. It's a 218.5 game total with the Jazz favored by 2 points. As far as injuries are concerned on the Clippers, there has been no injuries submitted yet, but we do know that Kawhi Leonard is likely out. Actually, it's confirmed he is out for this game. As well as on the Clippers side, we have Serge Ibaka who's out for the series, potentially longer. And then on the Utah Jazz side, Mike Conley is upgraded to questionable. Someone to keep in mind because we have yet to see him in the series. And Donovan Mitchell is a new addition to the questionable tag, but I think we expect Donovan Mitchell to play given this importance in pivotal Game 6. So, Will, who do you like on the road team, the Jazz, especially with this Conley-Mitchell potential news? All right, I'll be happy to start it off. As far as the Utah Jazz are concerned, I think you're on mute there, Will. As far as 100%. No, it's all good. It's all good. As far as the Utah Jazz are concerned, with the news that's coming out of the backcourt there, if Mike Conley ends up playing, then I'm probably gonna have to go. I might have to throw in a Mike Conley at 6,800. I know it's a high-risk, high-reward situation, but it is a pivotal game. It's a must-win on the road. I think he's going to be asked to get some minutes. We'll have to see how many minutes they give him. It's possible that they keep him under 20 minutes in his first game back, but it is an elimination game, so something to keep in mind. Mitchell will probably likely play. I'm going to have some interest in Donovan Mitchell at 9,300, as always. Coming off a brutal game in the last one, people are probably down on him a little bit. He's priced lower. He's priced lower than Trae Young, and he has 50-point potential, especially since it is a big game. So that might be a great play for me. I'm going to have a lot of shares of Donovan Mitchell. I think he's going to be low-owned on the slate, especially if Mike Conley ends up playing. I'm also going to be looking at Bojan Bogdanovic. He hasn't really performed too well this series, but his last two games, he has put up 38 and 33 respectively, and he's priced under 6,000 or 5,900. So I'm going to have quite a few shares of Bojan in this one, and that's pretty much it on the Jazz. I'm not going to be looking at Jordan Clarkson. If Mike Conley ends up being out, I might have some interest in Jordan Clarkson, but again, his ceiling game this far in the series without Mike Conley has been 30 fantasy points. I don't expect him to hit anywhere near that, and that price tag over 6,000 leaves a little bit to be desired for me. Rudy Gobert is another guy that hasn't really had a ceiling type of game outside of Game 2 against the Clippers where he had 48 fantasy points. I don't trust him in this game, win or go home. I just don't see him being too big of an offensive threat for whatever reason in this series. So I'm not going to be going there at all. And that's pretty much it for me on the Utah Jazz side. Who are you looking at, Will, And are you trusting Donovan Mitchell with this sprain injury?
Yes, that is the question. And I totally just wanted you to go first. That's why that happened, right? That was on purpose.
100%.
But yeah, it does kind of scare me off Donovan Mitchell with that ankle injury. He's played 38 minutes in that last game, but he only had 38 DraftKings points. I mean, that's good for most people, but if you're playing 9,300, I wonder if he'll have a similar type game as that, as opposed to his 50-point game. We don't know for sure. Hopefully, get more news before tip-off, whether he's like 100% or feeling 80%. That would be great to know and make me feel more comfortable playing him. And especially, we also need to know about Mike Conley because that slightly affects other players also. If Mike Conley was to play, I think if you're looking at Joe Ingles or Bohan or Clarkson, that might make you just fade all of those guys. So that's something to consider. Obviously, you can't. You're not really going to go – you're not going to lose your lineup because you play Donovan Mitchell, but it's a little scary for me. Great point on Rudy, not been playing up to his potential, kind of like Clint Capella as far as, in DraftKings stats. Bohan and Joe Ingles are kind of similar, and I would just pay for the cheaper guy at Joe Ingles at $5,500 and save you that $400. And I also think you can look at Royce O'Neal at $5,000. He can get close to 30 DraftKings points, but nothing is really like jumping off the page like, oh, I'm excited to play any Jazz players for me in this whole lineup. If I could avoid all of them, I probably would. But if I had to get a cheap one in there, I'd probably go with Joe Ingles.
Yeah, that's not a bad call. Honestly, I always forget jumping Joe Ingles. I mean, he's a fantastic play. If Mike Conley's out, I mean, he's been consistent, to your point, all series. Outside of game one, he's been putting up over 30 fantasy points and under 6K. You can't go wrong. He's probably going to be up there for my favorite play in that mid-range, actually. I just completely overlooked him. So good call, Will. Thank you for calling him out for me.
I got you.
Excellent. All right. Jumping over to the Clippers side of the ball. Obviously, everyone knows with the Kawhi Leonard news, as bad as it is, we have some great plays to look at on the Clippers side of the ball with that injury. Let's start with Paul George, 10,100. That's a price tag that might jump off the page, but Paul George went for 71 in the last one. He's been carrying playoff P, as they call him, has been delivering in the playoffs. So if he does another one of his signature performances where he has 70 fantasy points, we might have to shed that title. I don't know about you, Will, but I think we might have to shed that title if they close out the Jazz here. So
maybe
that's something to consider. So I'm looking Paul George for sure. He's going to be one of my favorite plays on the slate. Then down the list, I'm going to be going Marcus Morris, 5,100. He's been asked to shoulder more of the load with the absence of Kawhi Leonard coming off 36 and 37 fantasy points respectively. I know he's priced up to 5,100, but I will take that every day of the week. And then the other guys I'm looking at is probably going to be Reggie Jackson, also at 5,200. He's a guy that is going to be asked to do quite a bit more as far as playmaking is concerned, coming off a nice 22-point effort where he had 33 fantasy points in the last one. I like Reggie Jackson as well. And then the final guy that I'm going to be looking at is, you called out his name a little bit earlier, Terrence Mann. He's been getting more minutes now that he's in the rotation for good probably, with Kawhi Leonard out. Coming off a 23-point fantasy effort at only 3,200, you cannot go wrong as a value play of the night. Probably my favorite value play of the night at 3,200. And that's pretty much it for me on the Clippers. I think I ran through most of their starting lineup anyway. So who do you like, Will? And are you taking shots on Paul George over Trae Young?
But yeah, we mentioned Trae earlier and Embiid. I think Paul George is probably my favorite player of the night in that high tier category. I think, we all kind of forgot, rightfully so, how great Paul George can be and that he was. And I think, it's probably because he's been, coasting through the regular season and playing with Kawhi Leonard. When he's on a team by himself, like he was in Indiana, he was putting up superstar numbers. So now he has the team to himself. He's really the first, second, and third option on this team. So he has every option, every chance that he wants to be, the superstar again and get potentially 70 DraftKings points again. So I love him as a play. You covered it all with Reggie Jackson. He'll probably be the second highest scorer, him or Marcus Morris. But I think the one person you didn't mention is Nicholas Batum. He's not that fun to mention, but he can get you around 30 DraftKings points, especially with Kawhi Leonard out. And at 4,900, that's a good play. So, like, if you can't afford Ingles, you need $600 to save, you could throw Nicholas Batum in there. He'll probably get you close to that same production. And that's a great call on Terrence Mann. Also, one of my favorite cheaper plays at 3,200. You pretty much have to get him in your lineup. He had a really good game in 26 minutes, 13 points, 2, 2, and 2. But he had a huge dunk on Rudy Gobert, and that got the crowd hype and everything. So that was incredible to see. I'm glad to see him getting some shine, unlike your team is doing with Tyrese Maxey.
Hey, why do you have to throw that out there at the end?
I had to throw that.
Why do you have
party
to do
shot.
it at the end of all things? It's you know what you twisted that knife even deeper into my heart with that comment. So
Sorry,
I'll
David.
forgive you for now. I'll forgive you for now, but we'll have to have the conversation later. It's fine.
Right.
Awesome. All right. Well, I think that pretty much wraps it up. Give me quickly your favorite high-priced player not named Paul George.
Hey, come on now.
Yeah, well, I had to make it difficult for you.
God, you be killing me. Okay, well then I'm gonna have to take your guy, Joel Embiid, at 11,000. But I really love Paul George tonight, though.
All right.
How about you?
Fair enough. I'm gonna go Trae Young. I hate going Trae Young, but I have to. I think he's gonna have a monster performance
against your team in an elimination game. That's just man.
I know. I know. It's just crazy. What about mid-tier? Who's your favorite mid-tier?
Mid-tier, I'm going to go with my man, John Collins, who you hate at 6,300. I think you'll have a good, safe performance.
Oh, you know what? Why not? Why not go John Collins? I am going to go Marcus Morris at 5,100. I think he's going to be a key component, a key offensive threat for the Clippers in this closeout. And then finally,
I also love Steph Curry. Just throw that out there. I love Steph Curry, too.
Yeah, Steph Curry is probably my second favorite, so I'm with you on that one. All right, what about your value play of the night?
I'm going to let you go first on that one. Because it's only one or two guys.
All right. I'm going to have to go Terrence Mann.
See, I knew that's what you were going to do.
Of course. It was too easy. What about you?
Right. So I'm gonna throw in a shot in the dark. We hadn't even mentioned this guy's name, even when we covered the team. But I'm gonna go with Lemon Pepper Lou Williams. He's at 3,200. He had a big game last game. He had 15 extra points, 25 DraftKings points. He looked good out there, and they even interviewed him in the post game and everything. So it's possible that he could, repeat that performance, and they liked what they saw in this closeout game against Philly.
Wow. Listen, I'm not even going to hate on that pick. I'm just going to say that as a fan of the Sixers, and they drafted him and let him go to greener pastures, if he comes back and puts that nail in the coffin for the Sixers, I'll be sad. But it'll be a great call for you, for sure, getting Lou in there. I think he's going to be low owned, so that's a great call out and one that we did miss. So great catch on that one.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, that pretty much wraps it up, everyone. I hope you enjoyed. And you can always follow me, as always, at DMank33 on Twitter. And you can follow Will at Will. You know what? I'm going to let you shout out your Twitter name for the good folks because I'm going to butcher it.
Follow me on Twitter at WilliamIsBill. And I could have some exciting news coming up in the next few days. So stay tuned.
Absolutely, everyone. Look out for that news, and good luck with your lineups, and let's take down some GPPs.
Peace.
This Father's Day, let Dad loose at Lowe's. We have just what he needs for instant bragging rights. The Greenworks electric pressure washer. It's got the right power he needs to get everything looking like new, from patio furniture to siding to the driveway. Plus, it starts fast with the touch of a button. And the best part? Dad can shop at Lowe's in-store, online, or through our app. Lowe's, the perfect gift for Dad. U.S. only.
Hello, this is your apartment. I need some favors from you. Your cat keeps rubbing against the kitchen island, and I can't return the favor. Can you give her extra pets for me? After that, could you bundle your renters and car insurance with Geico? We could save money, and it's easy to do online. And one last thing. Could you leave the TV on during the day? I need to catch up on my soaps.
Geico. For bundling made easy, go to geico.com today.